All right, Chris Ruddy really doesn't need any introduction. Everybody knows NEWSMAX from Fox News and one of the biggest news sites in the world. The guy that first exposed, the Clintons and all those scandals. And I 2 weeks ago knew that Trump was asking folks, hey, what do you think of Priebus? I really got problems with him. And I didn't want to leak that info because Trump hates leaks so much. I don't want to leak on leaks. But I'll just say it now because it's coming out. He's one of the big leakers. And he keeps giving info to Paul Ryan's the word. And I know that Chris Ruddy is a member of that exclusive club that's Trump's. I know that he's friends with Trump. That's on record. And he talked to him this weekend out there while the Japanese prime minister was there. They're in Mar-a-Lago. And from the little birds that I talked to that were also there, they were hearing some of the same stuff. Mr. Ruddy has had a kind of a kind, let's say, filtered version of what was being said. Now I know that Ruddy, I didn't get this from Ruddy, is getting phone calls from certain people saying, why don't you walk this back? So we'll find out exactly what did happen. And I appreciate Chris Ruddy of NEWSMAX.com joining us, investigative journalist. Thank you for joining us.
Alex, thank you for having me on again. It was many years ago we were on together, and I'm willing to tell you all the secrets to you and your audience, but we got to all agree to that. We'll keep it a secret.
Exactly.
But, I'm a media personality as well as running NEWSMAX. I tell people what I think. I happen to know Donald Trump. I've known him for almost 20 years. But my views are always my views. I do not make a pretense. I'm speaking for the President of the United States. Because you know what? And you know Donald Trump. I know you've spoken to him. He can speak well for himself. He doesn't need me to do it. But I have my own views. Sometimes I disagree with Donald. So I was asked yesterday on CNN with Brian Stelter. He's one of the few guys I go on CNN because I think he's fair to me, at least. And he asked me what I thought was going on. I said, look, there's been a lot of screw-ups, and I think that the president's not getting this true message, which is a really good message, out. And I said that Reince is falling short. I did not call for him to be fired. I did not say that he was a bad guy. I said he's a good guy in my book, well-intentioned. I think he's very loyal to the president. But I don't think, I said at the time, I didn't think he was well-served. That has morphed into a huge media story that maybe Trump wants to throw Reince over. That was not anything I'm knowledgeable about. I have no knowledge of that. I just know what I believe. And I will just tell you, like I've always done, what I believe and what I think, even if you disagree or don't like it.
Sure. And, of course, this is the CEO, not just founder of NEWSMAX.com. Again, needs no introduction. Christopher Ruddy. I know that Jared Kushner, obviously the powerhouse, great brain, intellectual, Trump's daughter's husband, who's a big part of the whole operation, has reportedly contacted you. And, you guys have had some discussions about what was said on CNN.
Well, let me tell you, yesterday after my story, it blew up all across the media, I got a call from Reince. He reached out. To his credit, he said, look, I think your criticisms were unfair. He said, I think you're going to see a lot of good changes, a lot of things. We're in difficult, hostile work environment here. As we all know, the press is at war with Trump. And he said, we're trying to fix things and get things working properly and smoothly. And he said, you got to give us a little more time. I said, I understand it. I hear you. And I said, look, I'm willing to look at results. I'm not out to get you. And then Jared, we were speaking on another matter later, Jared Kushner, and I think very highly of him. I'm really glad that he's there because he's a very sensible guy. He's a good business guy. He's a young guy, and he's got the president's ear. And he said to me that Reince was doing, in his opinion, an amazing job. That was his words. I said, look, I'll put it out on Twitter that that's what I heard. I'm not out to get these guys. But my job in the press, and it's your job, Alex, is not to parrot, but to give honest feedback. And my experience with Donald Trump over many years is he appreciates feedback. He loves it. I've never seen a guy that wants more feedback from not only famous, important people, but also ordinary people. He's always asking people what they think and how they feel.
He certainly does that. Look, I learned weeks ago that Trump is asking a lot of people, what do you think of Priebus? And that he's even going further, saying, who do you think would be a good new chief of staff? And the word is, for folks that really know Trump good, If he's gotten to that second step, there's a very good chance he's looking at axing him. Now, I obviously sat on top of that info, even though I had it from a lot of sources, because I don't want to be involved in the inner intrigues of the White House. I want policy. I want tax cuts. I want our borders secure. I mean, I want results. I don't care about the red carpet pageantry and the helicopters and all the crap. I'm here in Texas. I've got my own thing, 45 million people a week listening conservatively. But when I look at what's going on and I see that he is connected to Paul Ryan and the Republicans are still pushing this Russia narrative, I know internally they're trying to use that as an internal coup to kick out all the people they don't like and endangering the president in the process. There are no Russian connections, but if General Flynn is on the phone setting up a phone call the next day for the president with the Russian president, he's on the phone with the ambassador and they say, well, we want to talk about sanctions. He goes, well, sure, you can talk about sanctions. So technically, they didn't talk about sanctions. They just mentioned they wanted to talk about sanctions with the president-elect, which is totally normal. So the media is going along with this, and some of the whole establishment right-wing rhinos who try to defeat Trump in the election, they are going along with this as an internal power play. So, I mean, let's just say it.
Well, I'm not disputing what you're saying, but on the other hand, I'm not privy to any of it, and I'm not aware of that that's the case. I know, and I think we both agree, the media is like in war with the president. I was on CNN yesterday, and they spent a half hour before I went on saying the guy's a pathological liar and that he's mentally ill. Now, I've known this guy for a long time. I've interacted with a lot of his businesses. I know you've met him as well. His businesses run flawlessly. He always hires really good people.
He's the opposite of a flake. The guy has superhuman, I mean, he's even slicker when you're talking to him in person or over the phone. I wonder how the guy is. Yeah, he's got to be the smoothest person I've ever known.
Well, and he hires really good people, and there's very little staff overturn I've seen through the years. So he's not a guy like hires, fires. You know, they're trying. He picked out an A team for the cabinet. They're just getting in. He's only in 2 weeks. They're not giving this guy a moment to breathe. And my problem with the White House is he's done all these good things. Excel, the lobbying ban was terrific. He's saving American jobs. Do you hear any about talk about that? No. They're all talking about day and night about Nordstrom's and even like the Reince story. I think it's an important story, but and the Flynn story. You know, they're a little bit diversions. I think every administration's going to have a little. This guy is the first citizen, non-politician president in the country's history. We got to give him a little more slack than they're giving.
Well, certainly they're trying to get everybody to ostracize the Trumps because they're the avant-garde, they're the cutting edge. Our liberty movement that you're part of and have been part of for 25 years, Chris, is the new counterculture. And that's why everything we do is successful. Everything they do is turning to crap now. And I'm just trying to get the establishment Republicans to realize, listen, the water's great. Get in here. Let's save the country. I mean, I'm not bragging, but I can show you the numbers. I'm going to send these to you. We had 85 million people that actually listened or tuned in or watched videos election week. Our normal's about 40-something. But now our new graphs are showing 50, 60 a week. It's exponential. Nobody's got numbers like that. And all I'm saying is we're just one show, Chris. This whole globalist thing is over. I mean, all over the world, globalism is in crisis. They're now saying that the French Le Pen leader is a Russian agent because she's ahead in the polls. No, it's because Europe's been overrun with the jihadis. Go ahead.
Look, we're facing some of the greatest crises this country has ever faced. And the public decided that it wanted new leadership and it didn't want the old, same old, same old. And we need to stand behind the president. He's going to have some policies. I don't know if I think that people should be more supportive of him than they are from both the Republican side. And I'm a little shocked, this Russian thing I think is being overplayed because you know what? We both know it didn't impact the election at all. Hillary actually did better than Obama in many, many states. So if that Russian influence had anything to do with it, it didn't help.
Sure.
Trump won because he actually went to states like Ohio and Pennsylvania, and he started talking about the issues they care about, which was jobs and trade and border security. That's why he won. Everybody's like, why did he win? It was a trick. No. It was honest. He tried. So I just think that we need to be a little more fair. I try on NEWSMAX every day to say, look, how are we going to be fair to him? We criticize Donald Trump.
Sure.
But we also been very supportive when we can be. And, the media is you know, they're bad news. They're not good. They've been really
Sure.
attacking him, and I think they're vicious almost, and I don't blame them for being angry.
Chris Ruddy of NEWSMAX.com is only here about 6 more minutes with us. He's obviously got a full plate today, one of the biggest stories out there. Here's where I am. I've been told by multiple people, some of who you know, some of which you might not, but it's, I mean, I've called around, that Reince does things which he needs to stop doing, like call in somebody he doesn't like and say, I want your resignation, the president wants it. Then that person checks with the president and it's not true. So that's what Trump is angry about, is that Priebus is basically trying to run everything and leaking information to the Republican Party that obviously people like John McCain that are out to get the president. And I don't know what Priebus is thinking, because that's what I've been told from multiple sources. Go ahead.
You know, I don't know if that's true or not, but my experience is I believe that he's loyal to the president. I don't think he's trying to harm the president. I just think he's very new to the job. This is a guy that ran the political arm of the Republican Party for a number of years. He's a good relationships builder. He is close with Paul Ryan, as you mentioned. I think the president picked him because the president doesn't know a lot of these guys in Washington. Figured out, hey, I'll pick the head of the RNC.
He needs a guide. He wants to unify. Look, makes perfect sense. I'm not out to get Priebus's head. All I'm saying is, I heard from a little bird that the president was asking you what you thought, and when the president starts doing that, everybody knows that's kind of the angle he does, that it means somebody's being examined, and then you don't deserve a bunch of pushback from you know, Jared Kushner or anybody else for simply talking about the fact that, you know, maybe the chief of staff is a little wet behind the ears. So I'm glad that you've come on to talk about this.
Well, I don't want to imply that the president asked me to go forward. I just happened to have met the president, but this was not the issue that we discussed when we met. And I don't want to imply that I speak for myself. I go on the media appearances. You know, I've done this before, and I do it through NEWSMAX, and I'm just going to continue to call it like it is. And, you know, sometimes the president might not even like it, but he probably doesn't agree with everything you say.
Oh, he certainly doesn't.
He is. What we both agree is he's a guy that likes the information. He asks a lot of people their opinion, which I think is a great thing. And I wouldn't necessarily think he wants he's going to judge Reince like he judges all his businesses and everything else on results. And if the results are good, and we'll see in the next couple of months, he'll be very supportive of it.
Well, I hope that's the case. The few minutes we've got left here with Chris Ruddy, CEO, founder of NEWSMAX.com. Chris, I want to ask you two questions about the economy and then about just the whole media landscape. A lot of top economists are saying if we don't get a tax cut and if we don't get regulations cut, we're going to stall this recession into a depression. A lot of other economies are in trouble, as you know. Bubbles are dangerous. But if we've had trillions of the big mega banks who didn't loan it, and Trump's saying, no, keep interest rates low, flood small businesses, the main engine, 80% of the jobs, to the people, a bubble to Main Street instead of a bubble to Wall Street, well, that will actually bring up Wall Street as well. And we've seen trillions of dollars into the stock market, all this happening. Meanwhile, I read Bloomberg and all these other publications, they're openly trashing the economy, trying to drive it down. I hope the American people realize that if the economy does go down, Trump did everything he could to save it. I mean, Ron Paul never gets a stat act about other politicians. And he was on 2 weeks ago and he said, oh, Trump's doing wonderful on the economy. It's wonderful. So, I mean, to have quotes like that, it shows that I mean, Trump's trying to save this country.
You and I are on the same page. I think that they made a big mistake not making the tax reform and the tax cuts immediate. It takes years for that stuff to percolate through the economy. We need that injection. He should have done it, and they're doing Obamacare, which we don't like, but that's a quagmire. That's a quagmire, and it's not going to be easily fixed. So I'd rather get the tax reform policy done first 100 days. Then you work on all of the things on Obamacare, and that's going to take 6 months. So, and the president loses leverage when he gets caught in quagmire.
And notice Paul Ryan wants to do Obamacare first. He's inviting him into the swamp. Come on into the swamp, Trump. Chris Ruddy, last question. Chris, last question. Looking at the media landscape, you continue to grow, Drudge continues to grow, Infowars continues to grow. They keep calling us the fake news, and they're trying to cherry pick a few things we get wrong about. When CNN's the fake polls, giving Hillary the questions, caught lying, backing the Arab Spring, I don't see this fake news narrative working, but the head of Google, the head of Facebook, the heads of Apple all say they want to put in systems to block our sites. And believe me, if we don't all band together, from Rush Limbaugh to Sean Hannity to Chris Ruddy to Matt Drudge to Alex Jones. We're going to lose our free speech.
I believe in net neutrality. I don't know how you feel about it, but the idea that 5 cable operators can throttle back our web traffic, and that was a rule Obama put through, but I think it was one of the good things. There's talk they may do away with it. I think it's a mistake. So that's one of the issues. We can talk about that offline. 2 things I'm going to leave you with. One is anybody that wants to get NewsMax or NewsMax TV, you just download the app. It's free on any smartphone, NewsMax TV or NewsMax Web. Second of all, Big Agenda, Trump's Plan to Save America by David Horowitz. It's a #1 bestseller. It's the best book, Big Agenda, on the Trump presidency. I encourage people to read it. You'll find out how he really plans to sink the Democratic Party if he gets his agenda through that you've been talking about.
And by the way, I didn't like Horowitz as much. I thought he was exaggerating. I really want to get Horowitz on because did he not end up being right about the Islamic invasion?
Well, he predicted 21 things that Trump was going to do. 5 of them already, everybody said he was lying, and one of them was this Muslim ban. So everything he's predicting so far is coming true, but he and Bannon have come up with a pretty good plan that's going to really put out the Democratic Party out of business. And if they get this through, this is a big win, and we're going to win African-American voters over and a lot of people that we didn't have in the past. All
right, Chris Ruddy, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for the time.
All right, Alex. Thank you, sir. Always great to be on with you.
Thank you. Been a long time. I, a few weeks ago, said some mean things about Ruddy. And I'm not really. He was just, I guess, messing with me, joking around at dinner. And then I was smart-mouthing back to him. And I was like, oh, that guy was arrogant. And I guess that was just all a nice, friendly joke. So it's good because I'd have Ruddy back on and to see the work he's doing. He's a smart guy. And I want to be working with them more and more because they reach a lot of people and have a lot of great writers and researchers. But this stuff gets very, very sophisticated. It's like basically cutting diamonds. And you got to know exactly what you're doing. Notice he's right. We need net neutrality. The problem is what Obama put through was called net neutrality, but it's an FCC takeover of the internet and communications to start censoring everybody. So they say we're going to protect net neutrality, but then the government itself is going to start censoring, controlling, and putting filters in. So then now Trump's coming out saying, no, we're going to come in and basically not have this plan they call net neutrality, but we're going to have real net neutrality, but let people pay for extra services. So either way, it could be dangerous. We have to watch how it's developed and how it's implemented. But right now, they're simply trying to muddy the waters and confuse it. So that's the only area that I wasn't in 100% agreement with Ruddy. But did you hear the big thing? Bannon has a real plan with Trump to really turn on the economy. It's so easy to do if the globalists just get out of the way. China has 10% growth rates. We have like 2% or 1%, and those are fake. They've been picking the winners and losers. They've been looting America. The globalists have been screwing us over. Trump wants to preside over turning that engine back on. And that's why the establishment that took this country over by fraud is throwing everything they've got at Trump. And that's why I'm so behind Trump, because the entire Goldman Sachs New World Order is against him. And if I hear one more pseudo-intellectual, fake liberal go, yeah, Bannon was with Goldman Sachs and so was Mnuchin. They've always supported nationalism and freedom. They're the good guys that were in the system. They're who you want. 0% of the money went to Trump from Goldman Sachs. 100% went to Hillary. And they told their employees, if we catch you giving money to Trump or catch you at one of his rallies, you're fired. And people said, is that even legal? Goldman Sachs said, if you give money to Trump, any of you, privately, you're fired. Just like this lady, Joy Vilas, who has great music, and by the way, it shot up 18,000% in sales because she wore a Make America Great Trump dress. It just looks fantastic. It was made by a Filipino immigrant who loves Trump. They're saying fire her. She's getting death threats. I mean, this is just, what a cult. Everybody else is screaming, yelling, demonizing, Trump. And this lady is smart. She supports Trump. She supports progress. She gets it. Look how alive she looks. You look at these other hate mongers, I don't care if they're white, black, whatever, they look dead in the eyes. I mean, that lady doesn't just have a great body and a nice smile and sparkling eyes. She's just got that energy. And I'm not just saying it. Just look at her. Look at her compared to like some you know, boring bombshell blonde or, you know, one of these liberal, you know, whatevers. They you know, they roll out and they just look pissed off, angry, and unhappy. That lady looks like she's having a good time. And that's what's sexy. Anyways, I just love people that are alive. They want prosperity. They get the spirit. Woo! America is back open for business. Let's do it. But first, the people that have usurped and stole the house have got to be kicked out. It's like Ulysses returning after 20 years, and people have moved in his house. It's got to get busy. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You going to sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you going to be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.